guys, welcome back to All Things Pink. I have again with me today Miss Mary Vargas. Thank you for being here.
I am so happy to be here.
And we are going to have a very interesting conversation today. And we'll get into that. I did want to mention something that I heard. And it's just no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're going to be talking about kind of like branching off of what we talked about before, but in the context of relationships. So we had talked about traditional roles and social norms and how far we've come and how far we've not come. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to put it into the context of actual like romantic relationships. Mm-hmm.
And no pressure.
No.
No pressure.
So lots of people have had really long relationships, and right. I've been through relationship therapy, and I've studied different types of things, and obviously been through like personal therapy as well. I am not going to sit here and claim I'm an expert at anything, but I have done the work, so I feel like I can at least talk about that. But one of the things I heard a long time ago was an older couple was asked like, what was their secret? And I think I saw on like social media. It was really cool. Like melted my heart. I'm a huge like romantic, so like I love stuff like this.
All of the things that just went through my head that you might be about to say, none of them were very sweet and romantic.
Well, not everybody is.
Okay.
But I definitely am. And they said that the secret was that they spoke to each other like they loved each other. And I think that a lot of the crap that we have wrong is because we, even with your like friendships and things, like we have to remember that this is supposed to be somebody that we love. And I think it's just kind of lost on our society.
It's supposed to be a safe space.
Yeah.
Right. First and foremost.
Yeah. So like speak to me like I'm someone you love. And I've actually used that because when it gets to that point, all of this stuff like that we battle, and we're going to talk about what we struggle with and what we battle. Sometimes I'm just like, man, like if everybody just kind of like took a step back, I mean, like, is what I'm doing loving, like in any world, like in any like definition of the word? And I'm not talking about situations that are super extreme, because I'm pretty sure you and I have both had them. Stalking people is not love. Okay? Like, we're just gonna make that clear. Facts. Abuse is not love. Period. Violence is not love. I'm just talking about just some standard situations when it comes to that. I know that my view on relationships has clearly changed over the years. Likely due, to that kind of stuff. Right. I'm not gonna lie, I've been in those kinds of relationships, and we laugh about it, got some funny stories. At the time, it was definitely not so funny.
Right.
But I think I was way more rigid in my younger years with, what I want and how this needs to be, or what I thought.
Absolutely. I thought everything had to be perfect. I had to be perfect. My kids had to be perfect. My relationships had to be perfect. And that's a lot of pressure. And it's so freeing when you can just be kind of broken, honestly. Like, it's okay.
Or really
everything's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
There are things on fire. And you can still find happiness. And you can still love someone when they're on fire a little bit.
I think that's learning those... That's why I always say this, like, what the hell do we learn all this crap, like, when we're over 40? We're, like, halfway.
Right.
Why?
But, I mean, thank God we did, right? Like,
yeah. I think some people are still learning that. Take time to explore, okay? Like, take time to learn this stuff, because it's important. But just, like the view on how you work through things, or...
Right.
Any of that, I think, has changed. What's changed for you?
That's a really big question. How
do you view relationships now?
Right. So I definitely don't see relationships. I used to think that I would be part of a whole in a relationship. And I definitely learned the hard way that I have to be whole and I have to be willing to, not to sound dorky, but to love myself flawed and to be willing to show myself flawed and to take things less seriously and to know that things are going to go wrong and sometimes epically wrong. And that doesn't make me a failure, it doesn't make me a bad person. And once I get to that place, then I can choose someone who I can have fun with and who um, is a safe place, but also, I mean, if we're being real here, there are things, ways that I interact in a relationship now that I would not ever have. Um, when I got married very young. I was 21 when I got married, and I was married for like 25 years. And for most of that 25 years, like I thought I had to be the good wife. Like I had to be supportive always, flawlessly supportive. And I had to speak kindly and I had to be a loving, safe space. And that turned out to be um, a facade, and it was the most unsafe place I could be. And no matter how safe I was, I couldn't make the other person safe. Yeah. So getting past that, getting into a relationship where I say some fairly awful things. Like, I don't want to misrepresent that. I walk around and say, "Oh my gosh, I love you so much. You're the best thing ever." I literally last weekend said the worst thing ever. Aww. Like the worst thing ever to my partner. But here's the thing is I said it and I froze when I heard the awful thing that I said. And he froze for a heartbeat. And then he laughed his butt off. And it's that like safe place doesn't mean like Stepford Wives. Like everybody is saying like, oh, it's time for dinner. Like, let's put our fancy clothes on and sit and eat. It's being real.
Yeah. And that like we all say things. And the fact that you were able to stop and know that, like he didn't even have to tell you. Like you already
knew. It was awful. It was truly.
You do not have to repeat.
I'm not going to repeat it. It was really. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was bad. And he knew my intent. He laughed. I laughed. I'm gonna be a little more careful.
But we're human, and it happens. And it's like sometimes things go below the belt, But like I feel like the fact that you picked up on it and were able to like, and he was able to pick up on. He probably knew you knew, like at that moment.
Well,
like
there was really no knowing it. It was so terrible. But I read this article recently about how successful couples do joke with each other and do say things that they're meant with love, but they're flirting with the line, and then recognizing.
Mine does not. He loves to stick the foot right over that line, though.
Well, I mean.
But when he can recognize it, then I'm okay. Like,
right.
That it's not malicious. Like he just maybe just sucks at telling jokes.
Right.
That's what I say. I'm like, you're still practicing.
Yeah.
You're fine.
And I think the other thing that's changed for me is I had a very naive assumption that people were more honest in relationships than it turns out. Sometimes they are. And I think I've learned that it's okay if it doesn't look perfect, if it's honest.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Oh yeah. You gotta watch that.
My life with my husband looked pretty perfect. It really did. And it was as far from perfect as it could have been. So, I kind of embrace the moments of saying things that are maybe flirting with the line, joking around. But it's honest, and we can pull each other back and be like, that was too far.
Right.
That was too far. Sorry about that.
Exactly. Exactly. That's in that's real.
Yeah.
And to be able to be that honest, and I think sometimes we want things to be perfect, and then we get older, we realize that imperfect is usually better.
Well, I mean, I had a situation where I didn't really have a choice about keeping appearances of making things look perfect anymore. And that was kind of a gift because once everyone's seen the fire, like there's the dumpster fire, everybody's seen it, there's no hiding it, everybody knows, like there's a freedom in that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everybody knows the thing that happened. And
yeah.
And then you can go forward and be, I think, more authentic because you're not trying to act like you have it all together. Because, man, I didn't.
Yeah.
Not that I still do, but I definitely didn't then.
I know. And it's, I think I definitely have come to where I understand what a partnership is, and that's more important to me than anything. As far as like a relationship is a partnership, it is a system. It's like, not to de-romanticize it, but
it is though.
It is.
It is though, and that's, I think we've sort of touched on this before in different ways, but I had this idea of what the roles of women were in relationships and what the roles of men were in relationships, and despite I'm a lawyer, I look pretty progressive from the outside. In my marriage for 25 years, I did all the cooking, I did all the cleaning, I did most of the childcare. It was the opposite of progressive, and that for me was a real problem. There's a real disconnect between, sort of what I saw as a child and what I thought a relationship was supposed to be, and it's it's so nice to have a partner who does things, who shows up. It's a little
weird at first. That.
It's weird, right? It's weird when you're socialized.
It's almost hard to be like, what is this? Like if you're not used to it, you're like, I smell a trap. Like, I smell the trap here. Like,
yes,
that's honestly, and that's a struggle, man. If you're not used to those things, but we also think about it, like a lot of what we're talking about today is conditioning, and it's what happens when you're conditioned, and a true partnership is going to understand that you were conditioned like that and try to figure out ways to help you kind of navigate that, because it's a trauma. It's that kind of conditioning. And so the other side knows this conditioning. We know this conditioning. Often we get this like constant, like, and trying to navigate through that, to me, that's the partnership. Like that's like the emotional intelligence side of what I would call a partnership.
Right.
It's more than, so if you have like a business partner, that's a partnership. Yeah, hopefully it's more like 50-50. Like I hope,
Well, and you're not called to be vulnerable in a business. I have a law partner. I'm not called ever to be vulnerable with my law partner.
Right.
And especially when you come out of, a traumatic history or relationship, being vulnerable with someone is incredibly difficult to do.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's really hard to do.
If you haven't been taught that or modeled that, where you've had trauma, where your armor's up and you're protecting all
or you've
of
learned
that,
that it's unsafe to do it,
which is huge,
right?
And that is, but for that partnership, that's what makes a difference,
right?
It's scary as hell,
right.
but it's such a good thing for people to shoot for. Like that should be the goal. So how would we describe or define a partnership? I think people are very confused about this, the terminology, or maybe like the definition.
Right.
I do believe that it's not always 50-50 in that type of partnership, but I feel like it's reciprocal. So it's like, okay, if you're down, right? Like Brene Brown says, I will credit her to saying this, is that it's never 50-50, but it goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I find when people don't understand the definition of partnership, they tend to be like, okay, you can carry the load, you can carry the 75% or even the 90% for me today, and you can keep doing that. And then you can keep doing it that like a month from now and a year from now, and they get really comfy
and it's just
down
expected.
here. Yeah.
It's just expected.
Then it just, and we do it. Unfortunately, we'll do it. There's times where we're just like, okay, if I just give a little bit more, they're gonna come up and like step up to that plate. It's total, that it's not entirely true.
I think women often of our generation, certainly we were taught that it's like noble to sacrifice yourself, right? Like you're supposed to sacrifice yourself for your kids. You're supposed to sacrifice your career. You're supposed to sacrifice your social life. You're not even supposed to have one when you have young kids. Yeah. You're supposed to sacrifice yourself for your partner. And, you know, I did that really well.
I did too.
And I remember. And it was terrible. It wasn't good for me. And it, in fact, wasn't good for my kids. It was a terrible example to make for my kids that, you know, that I didn't matter. And so I've had to very intentionally choose to do things for myself, which feels selfish. You know, when you first start doing it, it feels selfish. Yeah. It feels like you shouldn't be doing it. It's not what's expected of you. It's not what's right. And then, you know, you realize like it's okay to have fun. It's okay to do those things. It's okay to choose yourself. And in fact, that's probably the lessons that I would like to teach my kids.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's a difference between being selfish and self-care.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not really being selfish. You're just trying to balance everything. And when you're so used to being completely selfless, I think we always talk about the damn pendulum. The damn pendulum. Like, we have come into this kind of way of now everything is like, and I don't believe that this was the message at all when people started like talking about self-care, is like me. That's not what that means. It's just saying in that true relationship, you should not lose yourself, because you're going to crumble and then you will not exist.
It's putting your own oxygen mask on first, but you know, even more than that, like it's important to still have things that you love to do outside of a relationship. And, you know, one of the things that I've learned is really important to me in relationships, which I wouldn't have thought was important at all when I was 21, is to be with somebody who has their own friendships, who has their own activities, hobbies, things they love,
interests,
and willingness to do those things. Like, go out without me. Like, go do your thing. Like, enjoy it. Like, that to me is a whole person who can stand on their own and doesn't need to be in a relationship in order to be happy.
Well, I think it's that saying we're going kind of into like when we're older, we start to see that when we're older, we start to see like whatever it is, that we're not sacrificing those things or those interests. And it's more like, I don't need you, I want you. Like, you add something to my life, you're not taking it away. You know, and that's, I think that is really important. It's kind of the cornerstone to interdependence. Like, that you're not going to lose yourself. You have those beautiful, it's the two circles that cross over in the middle, and it's, you know, easier said than done sometimes, but the model of, you know, you can enjoy those things together. There's all the stuff in the middle that you do together, but you still have your beliefs on things, and things you like to do. I take it further than just like activities. I say it's even like your thoughts and the way you look at something. It's totally fine to be different. There's stuff. I was just talking to my assistant about this because I really, really hate green peppers. Like, I hate them. Like, I despise them. The smell, anything. And for the longest time...
Are you okay with red and yellow peppers?
Yes. Weird. Red, yellow, and orange. There's a smell and like a taste to a green pepper. And for some reason, I've never liked it my whole life. He wanted me to like them Sorry, I'm joking about this right now, but it's like so bad. I'm like, why does it matter? Like I'm never going to. Okay?
Right.
So let's just eat the red, orange, and yellow and let's just be cool with it. Right? Like I know that's just like a joking way to describe that, but like sometimes those differences and those different things can actually make the relationship better. Like it doesn't have to be, because then you become like codependent.
Right.
And I think there's lines between the two. And a lot of people have a hard time with being interdependent.
Yeah, I agree.
I think when you get older, you start to really know who you are enough to where you're not really going to sacrifice that. And when and I think you're like at a level where you're strong enough in yourself that being interdependent does not mean codependency.
Right.
Like I think some people feel like they want to be so far removed from the other person because, oh my God, you're gonna take something from me. And I always say it's unhealed trauma, but like should like take a look at that. But like, I am perfectly fine being interdependent because I'm like, I know who I am. I've established all of this. Totally cool with it. You're not going to take my power, so I'm totally comfortable with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So in that definition of a partnership, there's your textbook definition, and then there's other things that come with being a good partner for like with someone. And I think that emotional intelligence and communication and being able to do that is super key.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm thinking right now is I'm thinking about my partner and what are the things that that I really appreciate the most about him. And it's very seemingly little things that are hugely important. It's we don't live together. It's when I go to his house and every single time when I walk through the door and he knows I'm coming, every single time he has tea that he's made for me and it's hot when I walk through the door. And it's like, it's that, like I see you and I'm thinking about what would make you feel important and I'm going to do it without even asking, without...
Love languages.
Right. It's those little things that are so important.
I think that's absolutely important.
Yeah.
I also believe that speaking the correct one is a really good idea. Like, so it's a really easy book to read. It's like tiny. Yeah. But that's all about like that partnership. You can rely on them for something like that. Not just, I rely on you to pay my bills.
Right. Literally.
Which we don't need.
He gets nothing out of it. Right. I mean, I guess he probably feels good that he knows I really appreciate it.
Yes. But he does get something really big.
It's so significant. And also, you mentioned communication, that when something goes wrong, when he's said or done something that upsets me, and my history in relationships is you are so much better off not speaking it. Don't say the bad thing that they did. It's better to just let it go because it will boomerang back on you. So, in this relationship, to be able to say whatever you said or did, this is why it wasn't okay with me. And to say that out loud and then to have a very mature response of asking questions about how it made me feel, and that he's every single time, when he's done something that upset me and I brought it to his attention, there's been self-reflection and there's been him wanting to understand and wanting to respond in a really mature way. And we have a relationship where we joke all the time. Like we say inappropriate things. People who know him would be like, who is this mature person you're talking about? Because that is not the person I know. But when it matters, that is the person he is. And
that's great.
And so for me, that's really important.
And that's a goal in a partnership. Right. And I think that everyone can define that, how it fits best, for them.
Right.
And that's where, so, as we're talking about women over a certain age, I think we start to see those things.
Yeah.
And I jokingly say, like, we know what we want. Maybe it's because we know definitely what we don't want. Unfortunately, like hard ass like lessons learned.
Right. I've
like
learned more from the things that absolutely caught fire than I have ever learned from the things that went right.
And that's just, however we learn that. I jokingly say that. I'm like, gosh, you can chalk up, like, I don't ever want to go down that path again, but it happens, and it's a lesson. But I read about this trend that more women over 40 are choosing to stay single.
I mean, yeah.
Well, really people.
Right.
Even though this is all things pink, like, honestly, it's everyone, and they're choosing it, and it's almost sad to me. The reason why I say that it's sad is the reasons why they're staying single. Not everybody, like, obviously not, because everybody has different reasons, like, the priority shift, the economic concerns or struggles where they need to focus more on their career and making money, embracing independence. All of these things are really good reasons to choose that, and choose whatever you want. But the part that makes me sad is that the possibility is there to have that kind of partnership, literally, that you just described. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of work, maybe age and experience, but if you, like, it's not ever going to be perfect, and the acceptance of that, and, like, learning how to navigate those things, and having that partner that's understanding, and that you guys can communicate, and the whole partnership thing that we're describing here, it is possible. And it kind of hurts my heart that we get so soured sometimes on the idea because it hasn't worked.
Well, I mean, I guess there are a lot of ways to look at that, and I feel like there are a lot of ways that the system has particularly failed women in the moments when they most needed, I don't know if equality is the right word, fairness, I don't know what, but,
Yeah, I know where you're going with that.
But the court system, the law enforcement systems have notoriously, over and over and over again, failed women when relationships have gone wrong. In specific, in that moment, that's when
societal judgment has as well.
There has not been the support, and that's why women end up dead very often at the hand of partners.
Agreed.
And in a lot of those cases, everybody saw it coming. And so, for me, is there, like, a part of me inside, that the part that still reads, like, Harlequin romances and, like, loves romantic movies? Is there a part of me is like, oh, a wedding, getting married? Of course there is. Also, I will not ever get married again. And that is partly because I don't trust myself. And that is partly because I don't trust the system that we live in, to be equitable if things go wrong, and to be supportive if things go wrong.
I totally agree. No, I mean, I don't know if this trend that they're talking about has anything to do with getting married, because I don't think you have to. I think you can be in a relationship as long as you damn well please, and not be like, you know what I mean? Like, you can decide.
Like, right?
Yes,
you can decide
exactly.
what it looks like. I think that's part of what people are choosing, is this, like, cultural system of what marriage looks like and what a partnership looks like is kind of not serving a lot of people, particularly women, and it is okay to redefine what you want.
Oh God, yeah.
And whether that's living separately or living together or getting married or not getting married, like, and considering the finances of it, like, there's huge implications of getting married or not. Particularly, those things become way more obvious as you get older.
Yes.
They just
takes a little bit of the romance out of it, but it's real and it's honest.
But,
and that's, I think people can redefine lots of things.
Right.
Sometimes we need to come back and look at something and redefine it. Because it's what causes a lot of the stuff. We're all supposed to be evolving, and when you don't kind of evolve with the times and the things that are happening, it causes a lot of, confusion and struggle. And but I can understand why women of a certain age, if we want to call it that, struggle with this and struggle with relationships. Why is that? Like, I think
I think we've been asked to surrender power in relationships. And does it always have to be that way? No. But if there's one person who wants to take the power, it's not the women that walk away with it. In my experience. And so, I remember sitting with my mom at a diner when I was in college, and she was newly divorced, and she said to me, she said she would not ever get married again. And I was horrified. 19-year-old me was like, that is so sad. Like, you might meet someone you don't know. Like, there's still hope. Like, you could have that whole fairy tale. And she got angry with me at the time because I don't know why. Probably a lot of reasons. That's a whole different story. But now when I hear myself saying I will not get married again, like, I look back at that conversation with a little bit of discomfort, like, because I'm not sure she was right or wrong, and I'm not sure I was right or wrong, right? Like,
I don't know if anybody is actually right or wrong in that context at all.
You choose what you want for yourself.
And I think that could potentially be one of the reasons why we struggle. Like, when I say, like, an independent, empowered woman over 40, typically that means we have our own careers, where we have these goals, we have these things, and this is, this is what we're doing. We're going to take on the world, right? Like, I think we definitely, in my experience, struggle with a partner or a relationship that is intimidated by those things. They somehow feel like, I'm going to take something, and really, I just want you not to take it from me. Like, I'm like, honestly, I want my partner to succeed. I want my partner to do great stinking things, right? Because that's attractive to us. And it's weird. Like, I think there's a misconception. It's not that we dislike men or whoever. That is not the case. Like, we've just established like very clear boundaries of what we want. Right.
But I think a lot of people have been taught that women having clear boundaries is hating men.
And it's not.
As opposed to loving themselves.
I have this, okay, so, like, we talk about, like, we're in an age where therapy is very important. Understanding emotional intelligence is now literally, like, widespread. Like, we're discussing all of these things.
Right.
And wellness is so important, and doing the work on ourselves is so important. But yet these same concepts keep coming up that negate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love to bring it up. So we're going to bring it up. I don't even care what order we're talking about this in. That's, like, one of them. The same, like, it goes with men are not supposed to show their feelings. They've been conditioned. And have they? Yes, they have been conditioned for years.
Right.
That this is the role. This is what you're supposed to do. Let's suppress everything. You have to suppress your feelings. I think that is so bogus.
It's so bogus.
Because...
And I've said this to you before. When I think about people in my life, men in my life, not necessarily partners, but partners too, what are the moments when I think of them as being the strongest? And
when they're vulnerable.
Every single one that comes to mind in that first moment is, a partner when there's devastating news and they cry. Like,
yeah.
They cry and they carry on. Like,
when they can release that,
powerful,
which is healthy too.
It's incredibly powerful. Being vulnerable, right? Yeah. Like taking care of my little dog. Like,
That's attract. It's not just
incredibly
powerful. It's attractive.
Yeah.
It's very being able to discuss their feelings. All of these things. So we have these like contradictory messages.
Right.
We're supposed to be the same thing. Like, it's okay to have boundaries. Your statement, completely true. If we have boundaries, we're being hateful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's healthy to have boundaries.
Right.
I mean, as long as we all know what a boundary is and it's not a demand from another person, it's actually your boundary.
Right.
We are allowed to do that. It is healthy. It helps us. It helps other people. Like, but you see, like, there's these like conflicting things that are going on, and I don't really understand it, because if we've proven that these things are healthy, but yet they're still looked down upon, I just cannot. I can't wrap my head around it. I could probably sit here with you and talk about this for like 3 days, like, as to why.
Some of the stuff I love, and this may be a different topic, but some of the stuff that I love about what people my kids' age, 17 to 22, give or take, some of the stuff that their opinions about gender and spectrum of gender, I think is so valuable, because these roles that we're locked into that are not accurate, all these things we just talked about, I think some of what that generation is doing in terms of gender fluidity and gender spectrum and whatever is what's going to take that down. It's what's going to break it.
It's actually much more peaceful. I just want to say, like, after going through like therapy, it's so much more peaceful to find that place. All the healthy places, and being able to be vulnerable and being able to communicate. And it's hard. It's hard when you come from being the independent woman who's had to fight really, really hard for what she has. And I used to be really like, oh, hell no, you're not taking that. You know what I mean? Like,
I think I'm still like that.
Yeah. I think we are, but I've been able to go, I can still do that without having to be like afraid.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like letting go of certain things. Like, your house does not always have to be perfect, and this doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
That was another piece that I started to let go of. I'm like, I have to like speak this whole new language? Why? Why? That's a high expectation, but then I realized it was like, okay, if I try to understand where this other person is coming from, that's why I change it. Not because somebody's forcing me to. And I think it was like, that was a kind of a hard pill, for me to swallow. But then I've mentioned on here many times, I've softened over the years. So I'm like, maybe that's what it is. Or maybe I'm just not like really afraid of it anymore. Because it really isn't taking that. I don't need the power struggle anymore. We have tons of them. We have so many freaking power struggles. It's almost ridiculous. Yeah. So hence why I'm always saying, like, when we use the word emasculation, which we won't go too far into, but when I'm accused of emasculating someone simply just for being who I am, is it, or are they very much afraid of power? Like, it comes into this power struggle, and that's what that becomes. And I'm like, wait a minute. Right. You know what I mean? I'm not taking anything.
I don't know who said it. It's an old famous quotation that I'm probably going to screw up, but it's something along the lines of power can't be taken, it can only be surrendered. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything women can do to take power from anybody else. Anybody else. You can only choose to assert your own power or not, and what other people choose to do with their power. And I'm not talking about, it's a whole different issue in terms of marginalized communities and privilege and all that stuff. I'm just talking about in terms of this idea of emasculation.
I agree. I think it's, just to be clear, I think it's very overused, but in the terms of like a relationship, when there is strength in balancing all the energies and all the things, there's strength there. It doesn't have to be a power struggle. Like, what the hell are we winning anyway? Half the time, all it does is cause fight.
When I told my partner that I was going to talk about emasculation of men with you, this says a lot about our relationship. He said, well, can I come and just sit there as like exhibit A? Which, of course.
I feel like there's ways to look at it because it's all over the place when we talk about that concept.
Well, just because, like, the joke being, he knows who he is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to make him somebody else, and me being who I am, that's not going to change him somehow.
But I think...
make him weaker.
Yes, but I think that strong, independent, successful women have a hard time finding someone who understands that this is not a competition.
Right.
That this is not...
Right. There's that whole thing, like...
You do not have to fear anything.
Right. There's a whole thing of, like, am I intimidating or are you intimidated? Like,
yeah.
Everybody has to live their own lives and make their own choices. And...
Absolutely. And I think it's great that we put it all out there. Like, I think as you get older, you just go, you know what? Here's my manual. This is, I'm honest about all of these things.
Right.
You understood what you got into.
Right.
You know, you signed the contract. Did you read it? You know, I make jokes about that, but like,
right.
But it's true. Like, if you know this, why on earth would you step into the ring? You know what I mean? Like, why? To conquer something. Like, I often like think if you knew and you did it anyway, you know, but that's there's nothing to be intimidated about. I think it should be appreciated. And but I think, you know, that's hard to find. That's a gem right there when you can find that.
Yeah.
And someone that can match those.
Right.
Like, they can match those energies. They can match, like,
that's so
that
huge.
kind of stuff.
That's so
huge.
That it has to be equal.
It's
equal
like matching.
Energy.
Yeah. And so we struggle with that because I feel like in this realm, like, our energies are high. You know what I mean? Like, we're like going. We have very strong opinions. We're very grounded in that way. Like we know what we want, and we know like what we need
too. Like I spent a lot of my life saying yes to too many things and being too willing to sacrifice myself to do things for people that I didn't really want to do. And you know, the amazing thing about being 52 is you can say no. You can say no.
I like it all the time.
Like,
I've gotten to be where I'm just like, yeah, why don't you just say no? Like, and it's so weird how it'll just like fly right out of my mouth, and I'm like, okay, I probably should have filtered the way I just said that. Like, sorry.
Right.
But sometimes I see
the lack of filter. Like, I think for me, the way I was raised, the way I lived so much of my life was the filter was always in place.
Oh God!
Right. Right. I mean,
I have a hard time.
Right.
Mine's better now than it used to. Mine used to just fly right off.
Right. I mean, the things I say now, sometimes I'm horrified. Like, there's that little piece of me that's like listening to myself, like, oh my God, what did you just say or do? Like,
but I think it's growth again. Like, to be able to just do it and then be able to come back from it and be like, oh man, that was really terrible. Like, I'm so sorry that I said that. That is growth.
Also, like, being willing to show yourself. Like, this is who I am. Like, I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be whoever I'm supposed to be.
That's hard to take.
This is who I am.
By other people. I find it perfectly okay. So it's probably why we're friends. But like, I find it great.
We are perfectly okay with
it. Like, and I am. But I think when you're that open, like, that's scary to people who haven't kind of gone through that transition or where they came from, or they haven't experienced somebody so like wow.
Right.
Like, she says what she means.
Well-behaved women.
Yeah,
really
like
history.
It's not always bad though, just because we're like, man, I really don't like that. Like, I will not order something I do not like. Or if I try it, I don't like it, I am not finishing it.
Right.
Corey will do that. And I'm like, stop. I'm like, you don't like it. Put it down.
You a mask.
But I'm just like, but yeah, one could say I am, but I'm like, I know you don't like it. You don't have to do that. You don't have to put up. You're like, don't eat it.
Right.
You know? But one could actually say that, but I'm like, am I actually just trying to help him care about himself? Like, dude, you might throw up from that. Like, if you don't like it. So, like, I just a very simple example, but sometimes I'm just like, I love him. I care about him. I'm trying to, like, team self here. Like, come on, man.
Right.
But I think that's really difficult, at our age, being like that independent, like, like trying to be ourselves and have our boundaries and all those things can be really scary to somebody. Now, having said that, I also read something about in this same line, the same trend we're having where obviously it was a male. I do not know this male. This was, online, and I found it interesting. Little rabbit hole we were going down, and the comment was that women's expectations are too high. I have no idea what these were. So I question, you want to say single because the expectations are too high. Well, what are we expecting? Is it a partnership? Is it more than 10 to 25% most of the time? Like, is that what the expectation is? I don't think that the majority of people, that their expectations are necessarily too high.
I think the person who says that doesn't want to do the work.
There you go.
That's the way to say it. I do not want to do the work.
I just said that in the most
less.
filtered way, and you just like,
less. And that's fine. You go do less.
But it's okay. But it's not. I just think maybe the expectations with you and whoever just don't align. That's great. Then bye. Like, like, okay, but I do not find, even what we've been talking about, that those expectations are too high. You're asking to be in a partnership respected. Try to understand. I'm not even asking for like full understanding. I'm just saying, can we try? Communicating. All these things that have been defined as healthy. Mm-hmm. Work on yourself so that your traumas don't bleed into, and I say this about everyone and everything, it has nothing to do with gender or emasculation or anything. We all have to work on our traumas. We carry baggage into every relationship, even when we don't want to.
Right.
We have to be vulnerable and open and honest about those.
And own it.
And absolutely own your shit. Like, like, this has happened to me. And, this is what I've done to work on it. I will continue to work on it. Like, that to me that would be vulnerable. But that also creates healthy. And if that's an expectation that we're saying is too much, then maybe some people just don't want to be in a partnership.
Right. And I mean, what's the downstream effect of someone being with somebody who says you're expecting too much? Is that sooner or later that person is going to be very unhappy in a relationship? So I think it's a whole lot better to say, these are my expectations. This is the bar. Right from the beginning. I know, I was really curious. I wanted to answer and be like, can you list those? Because I'm just what I don't usually answer this, but I was just very interested in, like, what do you mean? And are you in your mom's basement? Yeah. Well, like, I'm just kind of like, because and this was a forum about people like over 40. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I have, and this is my friends, my colleagues, you get to know people. And in my little petri dish of sample, compared to the greater world, I find that women that are looking for a relationship or ready for one or whatever, over 40, right, those expectations are more stability, emotional intelligence, partnership, wholeness. Like, you can keep going down. I do not want to be your mother. I do not want to be your mother. We are not their mother. We're not. No.
Yeah.
not.
and so if you're talking about anything, if this person was talking about anything outside of that realm, then okay, I get it. But
yeah, if it's you and your fish, yeah, my expectations are higher than that. That's not enough.
But that's okay. But that,
like, like dating websites, the guys are like, "Oh, look, here's my fish."
Oh my god, yeah. I don't.
Yeah, just
like
just
those.
Existing is not going to do it. For me.
But I don't think it would for very much like anyone who is. I don't think that this example, like the independent, empowered woman, is a bad thing. Right. You know why? You're gonna get stability. Okay, at least that. Like, you're gonna get somebody who's honest. You're gonna get somebody who can express their feelings if they're whole. With goals.
And someone who's not bitter and angry that you took something from them, that you didn't show up. And, I think that's a really bad dynamic in a relationship when one person is doing nothing and the other person is doing everything. Absolutely. That person gets bitter. They get
resentment's built, and then you have a whole other level of therapy you got to go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to be able to recognize it. And even in the most perfect of those partnerships, you still have these things happen where you have to work through.
Right. I mean, that's the other thing that's been interesting. I guess for me, the lack of perfection everywhere has been like that's okay. That's normal.
It is okay.
It's how ducks get imprinted on their mom, right? Like, I think a lot of people are imprinted on the relationships that they saw their parents have, and then intentionally or not, they recreate them. And right. So, I think a lot of people, myself included, grew up with this idea of what a partnership was that was healthy, which was not actually healthy. They were imprinted on abnormal, right? Like, yeah. And so, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
I think it goes to the same kind of concept that the conditioning, what we're learning now as to what is healthy, just like vulnerability is actually healthy and required in a healthy partnership, we were conditioned for years and years and years, and I think still in a lot of ways are that no, you're not powerful, you're not strong if you don't hide it. Well, so it's kind of like the same thing, like what we were taught isn't necessarily like what is good and healthy.
Right.
On so many levels.
And also that we have to make choices that, if you choose the relationship that feels comfortable only, is it just familiar? Is it what you imprinted on that was maybe not healthy when you were a kid? And then you're going for that same dynamic of what your parents had, which for a lot of us wasn't a great dynamic. And so then you're choosing that familiar, but it's not healthy, and it's going to perpetuate that same cycle that your parents lived out. And so choosing a relationship, we talked about before about how sometimes it feels like weird, it feels foreign in a relationship when the partner is making choices that are not what would have been made in your house growing up in past relationships. And it's like,
those past relationships can leave deep ass scars. And then it's just like, and it's almost just like, it's like the trap.
Yeah.
But that's all modeling. That's all like, sometimes we have to really focus on navigating through that to get, to a happier place, a healthier place.
Yeah.
It's really, also relationships, all of these relationships take work. It's not, sunshine and rainbows. And it's like, everything's going to be great.
Everything is not going to be great.
Patience. It takes understanding. It takes work. And I think sometimes people just are like, I don't want to work. I don't want to put that work in.
Yeah.
And so they're choosing not to, which is fine. Like you can choose all day. That's the great thing about life and freedom. Right. You can choose. But I feel like, okay, if you don't want to put the work in, then it's not the other person or the people that do want partnerships' fault. It's that you just don't want to work.
Yeah.
So let's just all be honest. We're all over 40 here. So like we can be honest.
Right. I agree.
Well, as always, this conversation has been incredible, and I could talk to you for hours about all things.
We had a good time.
Yeah, I know. It's cool.
I don't feel like we emasculated men at all.
I think we did great. I'm gonna get you a non-emasculation button.
I want to
I'm gonna get you a warm fuzzy.
I did not emasculate anybody today.
Thank you guys so much for joining us and for being here with us on All Things Pink. Don't forget, we are also on Apple and Spotify, and you can listen to our podcast there as well. If you are watching on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and you can find out all kinds of information about what is going on with All Things Pink on our website at www.allgreatthingsllc.life. Sometimes I forget that mouthful. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time here on All Things Pink. You gotta get out there and explore, baby.